Okay. Okay, let's get rolling. Yay, welcome back to the final session of our Strengthening Parenting workshop. I'm so glad that you're here again, and I'm going to miss you next Tuesday when we don't have class. Just want to again thank you, Pam, and our Walla Walla Public School family and community engagement for supporting local families.
No, go to sleep.
Also, don't forget to mute yourself if you're just joining. And otherwise, we're going to just head on in. This is me for anyone who hasn't been able to join us yet. My name's Heather Robinson, and I have this beautiful family. My husband, Andrew, we will be married for 18 years this June. And my children, Abigail and Luke, we've lived in Walla Walla since 2000. Andrew and I moved here from Portland in 2004. So we've been here for a while and we love it. So we're going to keep on going. So tonight we're focusing on what I think is all of our desire, which is to have a long lasting relationship with our kids. So how to build a parent-child relationship that lasts a lifetime. And I also think of this as how to develop and maintain a heart-to-heart connection. So just to introduce this idea of having a connected relationship. Love and Logic, really at its core, Love and Logic's desire in our parenting is to meet our human universal needs. So the need for unconditional love, respect, and comforting limits, meaning limits help us feel safe. If we know the boundaries, that actually helps us feel safe. Also the need for healthy control, which we talked a lot about last week, that we come wired to want to be in control and to have control. And that's not a bad thing. That can be a very, very good thing. It's just learning how to have healthy control. And then the need to be noticed and to feel good about ourselves. I don't know if you've had this experience. I'm guessing you have. But when you get like that perfect gift from someone, or someone like remembers your favorite, how you take your coffee, it's like, it feels good to be noticed. It feels good to be seen. And that's one of a core human need that we have, is to be known, to be seen, to feel good about ourselves. And these things happen in the context of relationship. So that's why we want to talk about that tonight. And I call this the power of connection, the importance of relationship. It's really being connected with each other. I find that with Love and Logic, sometimes it just turns into business transactions, like, what did I say? Would you like milk or water? Milk? Great. Would you like to play your video games for 10 more minutes or 15 more minutes? Neither? Okay, I'll choose for you 10 minutes. And we just get into these like business transactions. And sometimes that's because our hearts are disconnected. Sometimes that's just, we're just tired, and that's okay. But the bigger picture is that question of, are we parenting for perfection? Are we parenting just for obedience? Or are our hearts connected? Are we parenting to have heart-to-heart connections and to help model to our kids what it looks like to have a healthy relationship? Are we parenting for that long-term relationship with our families and for their long-term relationships as they move forward with friendships or partners? So maintaining connection, I feel, must be our highest priority for a lifelong relationship. And I'm keeping myself in check with that all the time, because I can be all business, and I'm a very black and white person. I might be wearing gray tonight, but I'm actually a very black and white person. And so it's easy for me to just kind of fall into a black and white relationship with my kids. And so I have to remind myself, oh, I'm in this for them, and I'm in this for a lifetime of a relationship. I want to read to you a Love and Logic article, And it's called The Importance of Relationship. And then we'll visit a couple of these concepts that they share as a way of developing relationship. So, this is called The Importance of Relationship. Have you ever disappointed someone you loved dearly? Someone who believed in you, someone who always saw the best in you? If you're like most people, the feeling is crushing. The closer we feel to another person, the more devastated we feel when we do something they disapprove of. Have you ever disappointed someone you didn't care for? Someone who disliked you? Someone who only saw the worst in you? While the most conscientious of us still feel a little bad, the feeling is, well, just not quite as upsetting. When relationships are sour, it's far easier to blame the other person than to accept complete responsibility for our actions. When relationships are damaged, even the very best techniques fail. Too frequently, I hear the following: nothing works with our daughter. We tried rewards, but nothing motivated her. We're trying consequences, and she doesn't seem to care about those either. We've even taken everything she has, but she still doesn't learn. Can you help us find some better consequences that will make her behave? Our heart breaks every time we see someone falling into the consequence trap. Well meaning parents become ensnared in this trap when they believe that the solution to all their problems involves finding bigger or better consequences. Freeing oneself involves understanding that loving relationships give consequences their power. Releasing oneself means continuing to provide reasonable consequences while at the same time rebuilding the relationship. Loving relationships give consequences their power. Love and logic is not a punitive approach. Love and logic is not a permissive approach. Love and logic is an approach where children experience firm limits and accountability within the context of incredibly loving and encouraging relationships. How do we maintain or rebuild such relationships? Listed below are some time tested tips. Make every hello and goodbye a special event. When you first see your child in the morning, when they leave for school, when they get home from school, just before bed, etc., provide a loving dose of eye contact, smile, and touch. Never forget to demonstrate how glad you are to see them and how much you'll miss them until they return. At least once a day, notice something special about them. Use this format. I noticed that you like to read books. I noticed that. Simply fill in the blank with something special about your child. Resist the urge to end the statement with, that's great. The simple act of noticing without evaluation is powerful beyond comprehension. Remove any hint of sarcasm. Sarcasm is fun only for the person who is delivering it. Sarcasm erodes relationships. It's simply not worth the cost. Love them even when they're behaving not so lovable. Love is a gift we give our children and our spouses. Waiting for them to deserve our love before providing it leads us toward complete and utter defeat. Giving them love even when we don't like their behavior ultimately leads to joy. As you learn more about love and logic, you'll learn that the way we do this is by providing strong doses of empathy before we provide discipline. And lastly, neutralize arguing. Parents who get pulled into endless arguments rarely have the time or energy to enjoy loving relationships with their kids. Those who yell, scream, or resort to punitive techniques don't either. Learning to calmly repeat a love and logic one-liner gives us the ability to take care of ourselves while preserving more time and energy for having fun with our kids. Over the past 3 decades, now it's 4 decades, we've seen thousands of parents use love and logic skills to develop rewarding lifelong relationships. Isn't it exciting to know that you can enjoy your kids as you prepare them to become respectful, responsible, and successful adults? So let's just review a couple of things that they shared. And there's a couple of keywords that I love that they talk about. One of them is rebuilding. And sometimes it can feel like, oh, I just yelled, or I was just really sarcastic, with my teenager, and we feel like I blew it, and we hurt their feelings, or they hurt our feelings. But I love that word rebuilding, because things can be rebuilt. And some of these that Love and Logic shares might seem really simple, and in fact, some of them you may at first feel like, is this really mattering? Or maybe feel awkward about it, but trust me when I say it is so worth trying these out. It's so worth the investment of pursuing a connection with your kids and with your youth. So the first one, make every hello and goodbye a special event. Now, I don't know if you're a morning person or a night owl. Um, I am a night owl, so um, mornings are hard. I don't want to be happy in the mornings, and so if you are a morning person, it might be easy for you when you see your kids or youth to be like, "Good morning. Oh, it's good to see you. How'd you sleep?" For me, I'm more like, "Good morning." Sip, sip on my coffee. Um, how'd you sleep? So when we say a special event, it doesn't mean hurrah, yay, you're home, or yay, we're all awake now and we didn't get to sleep in and go catch the bus. I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge event. It just means that it's good to see you. I'm so glad you're awake. Like, what are you thinking about for today? Or, they get home from school, hey, how was your science exam? It's so good to see you. I thought about you a couple of times today. It's just really good to see you. And hey, you want to go work on dinner with me? You're just making these special connections. And what that communicates is that I matter to you. You missed me when I was gone. You're glad I'm here, and it's really special to your kids and your youth. The next one is, at least once a day, notice something special about your kids. And so, when they're little, this could be something like, I noticed your favorite color, or I noticed you pick a lot of blue clothes to wear, or I noticed that you love to draw rainbows. Um, or, as they get older, I noticed that you're loving that Harry Potter series. Or, I noticed that you're really drawn to Japanese art. I noticed that. And what's really easy for us to do is to sort of quantify that and put our judgment on it. Like, that's great. Or, oh yeah, I love that too. But it's really to provide that comment of notice without any judgment, not putting anything to it, just be neutral. It is really remarkable how powerful it is for any of us to be noticed. And I love how they wrote it in here. The simple act of noticing without evaluation is powerful beyond comprehension. And remember, and maybe I didn't tell you this, but Love and Logic is evidence-based parenting. So when they say powerful beyond comprehension, that comes from evidence. And I can attest to that. And I think you could too, on when someone notices you, they don't put their evaluation to it. Just, I noticed that. The next one is remove
What?
any hint of sarcasm. And I've had to work on this one quite a bit, partly because I like to joke around, but jokes aren't funny if they're not funny for both people. And that's how it is with sarcasm. It might be funny to me, but it may not be funny to my children. And I have made that mistake, and it has hurt their feelings. And we rebuilt that moment, and that's okay. But do your best to remove any hint of sarcasm. The next one is love them even when they're behaving not so lovable. And one way I practice this is when they are being lovable, not lovable, but they're always lovable, but when when they're having behavior that is not so lovable, um, then but when they have behavior that is, you know, good behavior, I will often say, when I say I love you, I'll say, I love you so much. And I'm so glad you're my son, or I'm so glad you're my daughter. You know what? Even when you make mistakes, I love you. And every time they're like, yeah, mama, even when you make mistakes, I love you too still. So, what a great thing to learn that we're in a committed, connected relationship, and I don't love you based on your behavior. I love you, period, unconditionally. And so then the reason that I practice that when they're doing behavior that I'm happy with is because it actually develops a pattern in me that when they aren't doing behavior that I'm not happy with, then I am able to still love them, even though that behavior is not desired. And then lastly, neutralize arguing. They talked about in our article here, and they go into more detail in the videos for the longer version of this class about how arguing erodes our relationship. And even each one of us on this call might have been in a relationship. Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a significant other, um, and maybe it was a parent. And arguing usually isn't productive, and usually it erodes at our relationship, and it's not any different with our kids. So neutralizing arguing means that I'm sharing power, I'm sharing control, I'm using my love and logic one liner, things like I love you too much to argue, or oh yeah, that's a bummer. We're practicing those one liners so that we don't get into an argument, so that we don't get into a power struggle. And the last couple things I wanted to share from my own experience as well, and that I've seen in action with love and logic parenting, is to spend time together. And that time doesn't have to be long even. It's like for some of us, they've got school all day, we've got our jobs, and then if they're playing sports or if they have an instrument practice, then they've got that, then we're having dinner, and then it's like almost bedtime. And so, but, if you could think about, hey, maybe we can play a quick game of Uno, or maybe we can go for a walk around the neighborhood. Spending time together, actually having that as a priority keeps you connected. It's amazing when we're around the table playing a game, or when we go for a walk in our neighborhood, or every Saturday, for most of the part for Saturdays, our family turns off devices and we call it a family day. And so say we go for a hike or something, but even during the week, every time there's really neat conversations that take place. And so that helps us maintain that heart to heart connection. And then the last one is laugh, dance, and joke around. And not joking around like the sarcasm piece, but just teasing each other. The other day, my daughter, she left a Band-Aid. This isn't going to surprise any of us, right? Because we're all parents here. She left a Band-Aid, a dirty Band-Aid on our coffee table. and, and at first I'm just like, really? She's 10. It's not like she's like 2. And so I thought I'm just going to turn into a joke. I'm going to make a joke about this. And I went into her room and I said, thank you so much for leaving that dirty, gross Band-Aid on the coffee table. That is exactly what I wanted to see. And thank you. Thank you for noticing me. And I didn't know how she was going to respond, but she was like, you know what? You're welcome. You're welcome for that. I got you. And she actually went into the living room to see what I was talking about. And she saw the Band-Aid and picked it up and threw it away. And we just laughed, and that was it. And it was fun to joke around about that rather than being like, oh, kids, throw your stuff away. Um, it was fun to just turn into a joke, but laughing and dancing, man, COVID caused there was only maybe 1 or 2 good things that came out of COVID for our family. One was that we started walking together around our neighborhood. The other one is that we started dancing in the house. We turn up the music and we dance, and nobody gets to judge anyone on their dancing. We just dance, and it's so fun. And so laugh, dance, joke around. It's okay, and it's wonderful to have fun with your family. So it's almost time for questions, but I'm going to have just a few more slides, so hang in there with me. Um, but here I want to talk about the power of connection in terms of needs and through noticing. Um, So first of all, just thinking about ourselves as parents, our internal management is to take notice of your feelings. We talked last week about sometimes when we want to sort of over control something, it's a lot, it could be because we're afraid. We talked about when I'm afraid I control, or it's I have an unmet need and I feel out of control. So I need to control something. So we're going to just talk about that piece a little bit more in the context of maintaining a heart to heart connection with our kids. So for our own internal management inside of us, take notice of your feelings, take notice of your needs, and you're not really putting any judgment on it, but you're just taking notice. Like, for example, oh, I feel really anxious right now. Okay. I notice that I feel really anxious, or your needs. I'm really hungry. I worked through lunch today. And then be compassionate towards yourself with that. Just give yourself compassion. And it could be a second of compassion, or it could be 5 minutes where you're just like, yes, you're not like feeling sorry for yourself. You're just recognizing that you have these feelings and you have these needs, and you're giving yourself compassion instead of being down on yourself or overlooking yourself. The next piece is for your children or your youth, their internal management, and it is the same. Notice their feelings, notice their needs, and then be compassionate towards them. And we also call it empathy, to be empathetic towards what they might be feeling in that moment, to notice what they might need in that moment. And so, some examples: noticing my son seems anxious, oh, they got to bed late, or oh, in terms of needs, are they hungry? Um, in terms of feelings, my daughter seems distant. And so you're noticing that, you're giving that empathy and compassion. And then whenever possible with your kids, follow the need. Now, sometimes that's not always possible. For example, you're out at the ballpark, it's late, you've got maybe a middle schooler playing ball, and you've got a third or fourth grader that's really tired and wants to go to bed, but you just can't go home. You She or he, they're tired. That's a need that they have. They're tired. I can't take you home and put you to bed, but what I can do is, here, why don't you just like, here, let me scoot over here, and why don't you just lay down and put your head on my lap? Here, let me put my arm around you, just snuggle in. And you know what? If you want to fall asleep, go for it. It's fine. I'll wake you up when the game's over. Whenever possible, follow the need. They're hungry. They need to talk. They're cold. They're hot. Um, they need a rest. Because again, it keeps that connection within your relationship, but it also regulates them. It helps them recognize, because we're raising healthy and responsible kids, that they see, okay, mom or dad, they're noticing this thing about themselves and they're being compassionate for themselves. Oh, they're noticing this thing about me, and they're being empathetic towards me, or they're being compassionate towards me. They're inviting me into even the solution. What can I do? What do I need? Imagine that person as a grown-up. That's awesome. To be able to not live in fear or dysregulation, but to be empowered and to be able to how to self-regulate. Um, and then the next couple ones is to check in every once in a while. I just did this a couple nights ago. My daughter just kind of seemed more quiet than normal at night. She's not a super loud person actually, but my son makes up for that, as do I. But she just kind of seemed extra shy. So I just checked in with her. She was reading a book in her bedroom and had her door closed. So I just knocked on the door and went in and was like, hey, I just wanted to check on you. Are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And we kind of talked for a minute. But even if I didn't notice that something was wrong, I would say a couple of times a week, I am checking in with my kids, hey, how's your friendship with Michael going? Or hey, how are you feeling about school these days? Or hey, is there anything inside your heart that's been bothering you that you want to talk about? And sometimes the kids are like, no, I'm great. And other times we're like, yeah, actually something has been bothering me. Even my 7-year-old son has said that. And so just having a check-in, and it doesn't have to be long. It can just be, it can even be quick. You can be prepared for it to maybe become long, but just having a check-in. And again, you're thinking about connection, heart to heart connection. And I wanted to just mention this here at the bottom of the slide. Connection leads to security. Fear and dysregulation leads to insecurity. And it really is about raising secure children. Um, that insecurity is running rampant in our kids and youth. In some cases, it's running rampant in us. We might feel insecure about something. We may not feel happy about ourselves, and that's a struggle, and that creates a lot of fear. But when we are connected with our children and they're connected with us, and they know they're being noticed. We're having those hellos and goodbyes, those points of connection. We're talking about what we notice about them. We're checking in. Um, we're not engaging in power struggles and arguing. That leads to a secure child. That leads to a secure adult. So we're really giving them a gift by practicing some of these that are really simple little things, and other them do take a little more work. But I know you would agree with me that it's 100% worth it. So let's just also remember, with the power of connection, your awesome new love and logic skills. So when your child and youth are testing the boundaries, and we know that they have, and we know that they will, when they're in a new stage of development, also, here's what's to remember that we've been talking about the last 2 weeks, which is no one wins a power struggle. So neutralize arguing, use enforceable statements, things like I give dessert to kids who finish their dinner. Um, I let my teenagers use the car who bring it back with gas in the tank, things like that. Enforceable statements. Share control, provide choices within limits, let consequences do the teaching. Remember to repeat your empathetic one-liner. That was back from our first class. And sometimes, and this is a new skill, and we go into this skill much more in the longer version of the class, but it's called brain dead. Go brain dead. And the reason we go brain dead, that's a part of neutralizing arguing. That's a part of not getting into a power struggle. Going brain dead means your child is, or youth are trying to engage you in an argument, but you're brain dead. You can't, you if brains aren't working, you can't think. So you just repeat your one-liner. And what did I say? Well, I really want to go to my friend's house. And what did I say? But you let me go last time. And what did I say? But I did all my chores. And what did I say? So your brain is deciding to not answer any questions. You're not arguing. You are just repeating yourself. And some of your teenagers will go, ugh, and just walk away. Your first graders might just like stomp their feet, but you're brain dead. So that's an awesome way. Might feel like you're losing connection in that moment, but you're not. You're still staying connected because you're not arguing with your kiddo. So, and most of all, friends, I want you to remember that you have what it takes to parent your children. You are absolutely the person that is meant to be in their life, whether you are a step parent or a foster parent, biological parent, adoptive parent, a caregiver. These are your kids, and you have what it takes to parent your children, and your children have what it takes to become a healthy and a responsible adult. So I want to encourage you with that. And we have to remind ourselves of that sometimes. Relationship is what it's all about. These are from Mother's Day, just a few days ago. And it's just, pictures are such a good reminder of how precious life can be, and how what we're aiming for. And this is my mom here. I mentioned to you before that my parents started doing Love and Logic when I was in 3rd grade. And I can almost remember the day when things changed in our house. So, in fact, my mom was a librarian at the time at one of our local elementary schools. This was in Boise, Idaho. And she had taken a class at the school. The school gave a class just like this. But my mom and I are so close. We have this connected relationship. It doesn't mean that we went through our struggles, absolutely, but we never gave up on each other and we've never given up on each other. We're so committed to our relationship because she invested in me in these ways I'm talking with you about tonight. And now I'm investing in my kids in these same ways. So I want to open it up for questions. I realized I don't think I've shown you guys my animals. They are my canine children, but this is one of them. This is Poppy. Her full name is Happy Poppy Princess Sunshine. So my daughter Abby helped name her. So I wanted Poppy and Abby wanted all the others. So we put it all together, but we call her Poppy. But let me look. I know I saw some people asking some questions. And so let me see what questions. Oh, I love to dance. Molly, sarcasm is so funny. Why? I struggle with this. I know, I do too. But, and I mean, sometimes sarcasm is okay. Like I was being sarcastic with Abby when I said, you know, thanks for, I'm so glad you left that gross, dirty Band-Aid on the coffee table. That's awesome. That's totally what I wanted to see. I was being sarcastic, right? But it wasn't like like I wasn't sort of, getting at her character or making a comment about that was super negative about her, but turning it into a joke. So, certainly you can be sarcastic to a certain degree. You just have to keep it in check, unfortunately. But any questions tonight? Or would anyone like to share how you've built a connected relationship with your kiddos or with your youth, or ways you've rebuilt relationship with your kids? I would love to hear ways you've found to be connected with your kids. And I know our class would like to hear too. So I just want to open it up in case anyone would like to share. I feel like you guys are really quiet tonight. Don't know what to do with that. Going once, going twice. Okay. Okay. Well, let's give some things away then. So I'm going to do this a little differently tonight. So have your chats open. I have 4 giveaways, and I'm just going to ask if you want this, and the first person in the chat that says they want it, I will write your name down. So this one is called, it's an audio, so you do need a CD player if you want this. So this one is called When Kids Drain Your Energy. And this is so good. It actually talks about a skill that's called energy drain. And we go into there's a whole class devoted to energy drain, but it really is true that when our kids are misbehaving, it really does drain our energy. And we talked about that earlier on, even with neutralizing arguing. Mike Blazy, yes, that if we spend time arguing, we don't have time to invest in our kids' relationship, really. And so this is an awesome audio. And Mike, I will text you for your address. This one I gave, these next couple I gave away the last few weeks too. They're just so good. This one is called Tickets to Success, Techniques to Lead Children to Responsible Decision-Making. And this is also another class that we go into more detail. Angie, yes, on the gift of problem solving, how we can invite our kids into solving their own problems, that we're there for them. Just tonight on the way to rookie football practice, my son and I was giving him that gift of problem solving with a friend on the bus situation that he had coming home today. So when we give the gift of problem solving to our kids, it actually develops a positive self-esteem. So that's this one, Tickets to Success. Okay, this next one is super fun. They're really just, they're wise words about kids. It's called Love and Logic Isms. And there's lots of, so Mary Lopez, let me just read you some of these. And I give these away I'll give these away in the fall class as well. So don't worry, you'll have more opportunities to win. Like one, and they just have like all these quotes. Wise parents remember, never let your kids see you sweat. It's like, you know what? I can do this. I can totally do this. Right? Wise parents know that good discipline and logical consequences still work, even when their kids roll their eyes and say, I don't care if you do that. We still know it will work. So yeah, okay, Mary, that's coming your way. And then this last one is for parents with teens. So this is Parenting Teens with Love and Logic. This is an awesome book. We've actually got a wonderful curriculum that we're potentially going to do, in the next school year. But let's see. Molly. Yes, Molly. Molly, I was just making sure you hadn't won something yet but then I realized, no, it was Mary. Yes, so Molly, I will text the 4 of you for your address so I can swing these by your place. Before we hang up, is there any other questions that anyone has? I would love to answer anything or share stories. Or is there anything else that anyone would like to share before we log off for the evening? I'm so glad you guys enjoyed this presentation. What a privilege it's been to be a part of this with you. I just feel like we're raising a tribe as parents. And this is my son on Mother's Day this last weekend at school. They made this really cute long banner you can see there. It says, I love you this much. And their little hands that they paper cut out, scissor cut is on the ends. And so, so sweet. But I just want to thank you all for joining me. Pam will keep you posted on classes coming up for the fall. We've loved doing this Zoom call. If there's other things that you want, if you want to do Zoom presentations again, if you want to have like just every once in a while, Love and Logic quick bites, maybe that's just a 30-minute, pop on, ask questions. If you want to do the full 6-week class, it's a 5 or 6 week class. If you want an age focus, whatever you want, send us your ideas. We love to think outside the box. And what's most important to us is that we are speaking to felt needs. So we're not just, saying anything. We want to really say things or talk about things that are really going to make a difference for you all. And so, so let us know. It'll be really fun to be in person again. I'm hoping that can happen this fall. And so, yeah, until I see you next, it's been so great to hang out with you, and you've got my email. So at any time, if you need any support or have any questions, please feel free to email me. So enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully I'll see you around town or see you on email or see you this fall. Blessings to all of you. Bye-bye.